I do want to thank each of you for coming here and taking the time to hear this presentation about Miamisburg Dora. Council thanks you. We do need to hear input. I know that a lot of you are business owners and you need to get back to your restaurants or shops, so thank you. It is very important. Before we head into Katie's presentation, I do need to call a special session of City Council. So I'm going to hereby open that. This is a special meeting of the Miamisburg City Council. Today's date is March the 30th, 2021. It is at approximately 5:10 p.m. And we are gathered at the Baum Opera House. I would ask our Clerk of Council, Kim Combs, to call roll.
Councilmembers Calden.
Here.
McKay.
Here.
Nestor.
Here.
Nicholas.
Here.
Stolber.
Here.
Thacker. Here. Thompson.
Here.
Great. All the council is here. We appreciate that. You probably all picked up an agenda. That's kind of how the flow of the meeting is going to go. Katie Frank, our Downtown Development Director, has put together a great presentation on Miamisburg Dora. Also represented here tonight is the Miamisburg Merchants Association and its president, Angie Engelke. There are many people in this room that are a member of the Miamisburg Merchants Association. So with that said, what we learn and gather from you tonight, we're going to take back to the April 20th council meeting. So no, nothing is going to be voted on tonight. But after Katie's presentation, if you would like to make comments or have questions, we'll do that at that time. So, Katie?
On behalf of the Merchants Association, I'll just say, one, thank you to everybody for joining us. That's okay. This evening, we have had several conversations with the merchants. We've been talking about this as a group since January, pretty seriously, just answering questions and getting educated. So that's what tonight is about as well, just making sure everybody understands Dora, its use as an economic and social tool for town. So we're excited to learn a little bit more and hear everybody's input today. So thanks for coming.
Okay.
Katie?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Everybody hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you again for the introduction, and I get the fun part of presenting the information to everybody. So many of you might know what a Dora is, some of you might not. Some of you might have even been in a Dora and not even known it. So my job here today is just to give you the facts, give you the ins and the outs of what they are, what the point of them are, and what it could potentially look like for Miamisburg. All right, so what is a Dora and its intention? So a Dora is a designated outdoor refreshment area. It is basically an exemption to the open container law. Now please bear with me, I'm going to be giving a lot of information, and hopefully you can save your comments and your questions till the end where Angie and the mayor will be facilitating those. So in 2015, the Division of Liquor Control, Department of Commerce, created this economic development tool to assist communities and towns. The intention behind this tool is simply to increase economic growth and to help towns and to help communities. There is a process that you have to do through the state. So the state lays out the order of the process, and then they leave a lot of flexibility up to the local jurisdiction. I want to give you a little bit of input, I guess, as far as where we're at in that process, just so that we're completely open and transparent of the process. So when initially you have an application that is submitted to the city council or the board of trustees, whatever the governing body is of that jurisdiction. So the application has been submitted to city council. Now we are adding this public input meeting. This meeting is not a requirement. So this is actually in addition to what the state does require, because the MMA and the city felt like it was worth getting everybody's input and everybody's comments on this possible tool that Miamisburg may or may not have. I do want to give you some background information on Dora in Ohio. Again, this puts it into context. I want you to think big picture in the state of Ohio and what is happening and how these Doras are being used. Currently, there are 60 plus communities in Ohio that have a Dora. Just an interesting fact, since last March, they more than doubled. So that kind of tells you what communities were doing since we had an interesting year this past year. There has been lots of research done as far as, what are they, where are they, do they work, do they not work, what are other communities saying? We have spoken to communities, we've had phone calls, emails, browsed websites, we have talked to Division of Liquor Control, based off of what they're seeing of the 60+ communities, what issues, what concerns, what is going on. And across the board consensus, there really are next to none or minor issues with doors currently in the state. I want to show you this slide too. The city of Troy just passed theirs, and they put this up on their Instagram page 3 days ago, not 2 days ago. And I just thought it was good, just again providing more context. So the city of Troy and Main Street, 3 things they said why have a Dora. Has a positive impact on downtown activity, to attract more attendees to and after events, help downtown businesses, especially in light of the current restrictions and distancing and all of the parameters are in place right now. So, and also Troy, they as well surveyed 26 communities that have Doras currently, and again, overwhelming response that was positive for these Doras. I'm not expecting you to read all these words on this slide, I just threw them up here, but again, just some simple testimonials, I guess, from other communities and other cities. So North Canton in 2019, an article said, we want to do this to enhance our town center. We investigated other communities around the state of Ohio. They are experiencing positive economic benefits from having the district in place. Dublin in 2020, they said same thing. We want to enhance outdoor dining and entertainment experiences, and then also helping restaurant and retail establishments. Grove City, this is the mayor. He said we'd be looking at this as an experiment. It would be reviewed after a year to make sure that it's working the way that it's intended to do. Again, the intention of the Dora is to help and to be a good thing. And if it would ever stray from that, then I would concur that most of these cities would say we don't want to do it. He also said we don't want to be left behind by other communities who are using this as an economic development tool. And we talked to other communities and they're not seeing problems. So again, just adding to just the research and what we have done. So this slide is to help get you perspective. Like I said, you might have been in these towns and these doors and not even known you were in a Dora. So you have Oxford, Worcester, Middletown, Fremont, Wilmington, that's Loveland, Milford, Sydney, and I believe that's Tiffin. So that's just a few samplings of what's out there right now. So I want to bring you back to the local process and how we got to where we are today. So believe it or not, this has been a conversation among merchants for probably the last 2 or 3 years. This has been a topic of conversation among the Miamisburg Merchants Association group and the Economic Restructuring Committee. So, we have neighbors, immediate neighbors that have these. Middletown was actually the first in the state to have a Dora. So they're going on 6 years now with the Dora. So Middletown has one. Other great Miami Riverway communities have them. Troy, Tip City, Sydney, Hamilton, Middletown. So again, this has been a conversation of happening of, does it make sense? Is this a good thing? Does this make sense for Miamisburg? So these conversations have been going on. We've spoken with restaurants. We had a Zoom call with Middletown in Hamilton. They had their staff and some restaurants in Hamilton that also spoke to this process and spoke to their experience with the Dora in their communities. It's been to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, where again, they felt like this would have a positive impact and a good impact for downtown and especially Riverfront Park. And there's been staff discussions and city council discussions. So that's a real quick bringing you up to speed of this process. And then today brings us to today, our public input session. So this is the last part of my presentation, and I'm just going to go over the nuts and bolts of how they work, what they look like, what it could look like for Miamisburg, and then the regulation and evaluation piece for Doras. So this, I know it's a lot of words on that slide. You will see these across the board, every community in the state. This is almost verbatim of what communities publish and what they advertise. The consistency is really great how the state has mandated that and how communities are complying with that consistency. So what it is it has a designated area that allows purchase and consumption of alcoholic beverages outdoors. So again, that's your boundary. You have a boundaried area. It operates on determined hours and days, and this is up to the local jurisdiction. So the local jurisdiction can decide what makes sense for your community. And then beverages can be purchased from participating establishments. You have to have a minimum of 4 qualified permit holders to even have a Dora in the state of Ohio within your boundaried area. And beverages from one Dora establishment cannot be taken into another alcohol serving establishment. And that's key. I know that there's a lot of questions on that. So for example, I'll take, you say you walk into Bullwinkle's, for example, and you buy a beer in a Dora cup, you cannot take that to Bennett's or Chump's or Good Time Charlie's or the theater. You cannot take that into any other establishment that has a liquor license, because that crosses licenses, and if some of you know that's never a good thing. We don't want to do that, and the state does not like that. One beverage is permitted per cup per use, and you must stay within the Dora boundaries to drink your beverage. So again, these are things the state put into place to help regulate and control the consumption. I mean, they don't intend it to be a free-for-all, just a lot of things happening in that way. So this slide I'm going to bring up twice, actually. 3 key points to keep in mind. Again, this is the way the state designed it because they want these to succeed and be a good thing. The boundary, we have the authority to make that boundary smaller at any time. We can't make it bigger because that involves a whole other process of doing this. However, if we need to make it smaller for whatever reason, the local jurisdiction can do that. The hours, the same thing. The hours can be changed. They can be adjusted. They can be made more. They can be made less. They can, whatever the needs are for that community. And the off, that's a key thing too. The door can be turned off. So you probably saw, the Oregon district turned it off for St. Patrick's Day because that's just maybe not a great idea. So this could be turned off at any time for any period of time that the local jurisdiction decides. I'm going to pull up a map. That's why this slide looks like this. But so now I'm going to get into Miamisburg, and as some of you have seen the application, some of you probably have, some of you probably haven't. This is more the nuts and bolts of what was submitted for a potential for Miamisburg. So again, we have 13 qualified permit holders. And a few things that were taken into consideration when we looked at the possible boundary lines. And again, this is talking from other communities who've done it. Their advice was, one, obviously you get your permit holders within that boundary. 2, try to limit as much residential as you possibly can. And 3, try to make it as easy and clear as possible to navigate, just so that it helps, education and clarity for people participating in the Dora. So I'll leave that up there for a second, but those are the proposed boundaries at this point. You can see we included the breweries with the little southern piece. So I'm going to keep going. So the next piece of this is the hours. And again, what we had proposed was Monday through Friday, 5 to 11, Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 11. And one thing again, these hours can be adjusted. They can be changed. And this was based off of communication with other cities. There's a couple of things that they found that they liked the 7 days a week because it was just clearer to staff, it was clearer to businesses, it was clearer to patrons. So it kind of cut out some of that confusion of, am I allowed to, am I not? And it just kind of helped with that. And it also has helped with those, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe the slower nights or the slower foot traffic that we have in downtown. But again, they can be adjusted. Health and safety plan, that's another element that is required. And currently we have 32 trash cans downtown. And this would be, if approved, this would be an ongoing evaluation basis. Do we need more trash cans? Do we need to move them? We need to make sure that the trash is taken care of. I mean, that's a high priority always in our downtown area, let alone if we would add this. This does not add additional strain on city services. Our guys, our Parks and Rec crews and our Public Works crews, I mean, they're already out there frequenting these trash cans in the park in the downtown anyway. And then the police patrol, that's another thing where, again, talking to other cities, across the board, they've looked at it, they've evaluated it, and they are doing basically what we're doing, what we've always been doing, is we have our regular patrols, and then on special events, we up police presence, which is what we typically do in our events. So we would stay consistent with that. So the events, this is probably the smallest slide, but we know we have the most events. So the only thing I'm going to say about events is that events would be looked at on a case-by-case situation. Again, because this is so flexible, there are many ways that you can cater the Dora to make it work for that event and to make it work for downtown. So whether it's off, whether it's on, I mean, there are a variety of ways to adjust that based off of whatever event is happening. Again, I'm going back to my 3 points. The boundary, we can make smaller. The hours, we can adjust, and we can turn it off. So these are some elements that really help the regulation. And again, this is consistent across every Dora in the state. So, people get used to seeing these. They know what to expect. And these are the same elements with different logos and different looks in every community. So the top one, the sign, we will have roughly 25 signs that will be at the exits, if approved, at the exits to the, once you're exiting the Dora boundary. And again, this is for clarity. I mean, it's making sure you're aware you cannot take your alcoholic drink. I mean, we've seen those. I see them on, patios. Like, you can't take it out. Well, no, actually, you would be able to, but until you get to that sign. These decals at the bottom, those are key as well. So like I said, we have 13 qualified permit holders. So they would be able to put the sold here, the Dora sold here. The green one, this is a key piece that the state designed. This allows any non-liquor serving establishment to allow Dora drinks if you want. So if you are retail, if you are an art gallery, I mean, if you are one of these other uses, you are allowed to utilize that. And what we have seen in other cities is the retailers really benefit actually from the Dora. And then of course you have your please no Dora beverages. So again, that's very clear. I mean, that we see that in other communities too. You put that decal on your business, we don't want Dora beverages in here, and that's okay. The cup, again, the cup is a key element. So, if you see someone walking around drinking alcohol not in that cup, then you could call the police, because that means it's not legal. So this is legal. So this cup would be a legal way to do it, and every restaurant would have the cups. The rules are printed on the cups. So again, it's education and communication is key to making sure that it's clear and consistent and people know what they're doing. So rules will be on that, with a QR code that takes you back to websites and more information. This is my last slide. I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Okay, so the regulation and evaluation piece. Again, there are certain standards set in place by the state which automatically will regulate the program. If approved, then there would be a variety of trainings. So we would train the restaurants, the staff, the merchants, everyone to know the inside and outside of this. And communication is key. It's in other communities, it's blasted everywhere on social media, websites, posters, signs. I mean, it's just education and communication is key. And then there will be a review committee to evaluate this and see, are there concerns? Are there issues? Is there something not working? Is this not doing what it's supposed to be doing? Is this doing something that we don't want for our downtown? There will be a committee to help evaluate that on an ongoing basis. So With that, I'm going to turn it over to public input time to.
Can I make just a couple comments just based on your presentation, if that's okay? So two things from the Merchants Association perspective. So I've been involved with the board now for 3 years, and from my first meeting till now, and economic restructuring meetings as well, it's always a topic, how do we connect what's going on Main Street with the businesses that are on 2nd Street and the breweries that are a little bit outside of that. And from the conversations that we've had with cities like Middletown and Hamilton is that a tool like Dora really does create that safe environment, that environment that's conducive for folks to go from one establishment to another. So really just the general feedback that we've heard in those conversations is that it's increased revenue across the board, it's increased foot traffic, and I think some of that was in your presentation as well. But that's just something that I've heard in my time here with the MMA, and it feels like this really would help accomplish that. The second piece is just to remember that it really is an economic tool. And again, what the research will tell us that the revenue really does increase. It'll allow us to be able to stop at Irmela's and get a glass of wine while we're waiting for our table that's going to take 45 minutes at Chumps. And it's really going to increase our ability to be able to support each other to go from place to place. And coming out of the pandemic, everybody that has made it through this, I mean, I think our town is an exception to have made it through. And businesses that have a Dora, research will tell us the businesses have more staying power, the revenue is increased, and it's more attractive for businesses to come into town too. So that's all I have. Thank you.
I think it will drive retail to our city too. Retail is something that we need more of downtown. You can't have too many restaurants, you can't have too many shops to shop in. So I think when people see the foot traffic that may be generated through this Dora, hopefully, that it will encourage them to maybe relocate their shop here or open a second shop. So that's another element that we're hoping to accomplish if that's what you all want. And that kind of brings us to the reason we're at this meeting, which is public comments. City Council wants to hear your feedback, wants to hear how you feel about it. What are your concerns? If you have a concern, do you think it's great? If so, we really want to hear that. So, just kind of throw up your hand. Yeah, walk up to the mic here next to Carl and at the MVCC table and kind of tell us how you feel. And if you don't mind, please give your name and address.
I want to thank the council and everyone for letting us be here. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. I learned in speech class if you're going to say something, get it over with, especially for us people that aren't public speakers. So I decided to come up here first. And I really tried to keep an open mind during this presentation and try to figure out why I would say yes to this. But after listening to it, I'm getting more and more in my mind something that my mom taught me and you've all heard before. Watch out for wolves in sheep's clothing. And I think that's what I'm seeing here. And I'll give you a few reasons why I would vote against this. And I think of my dad when I was growing up. We moved to Miamisburg in 1953, so I'm a resident for a long time. I graduated from the Miamisburg High School. My name is Tom Drysharf, and I live at 852 South Linden Avenue. So I've been around the town for a long, long time. And I know many of the council members. Haven't talked to many of them in a long time, but I know them. I voted for our current council member every time he was up for election. And I think overall, everyone's doing a really good job in keeping this economy going in this town. So I'd like to thank all of you for that. I think of my dad. He used to take my 2 brothers and I from bar to bar, back when that was legal, I guess. In the old days, we were probably just 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And he'd have his few drinks, and he'd leave, and he'd walk down to another bar, and he'd have 1 or 2 drinks there, and he'd leave, and he'd go to the third bar. And by the time he got home, he wasn't in the best shape. And I'm not going to say anything bad about my dad because I love him, but that's just the way he was. But what I can see him doing if this were today, he would have his couple drinks at the one bar and get his to-go glass, and then he'd be drinking that on the way to the next bar and have his drinks there and get his to-go glass so he could have something to drink going to the next bar. And I can see this happening with not everybody because there's a lot of responsible drinkers. But there's many that aren't responsible, and who knows what's going to happen when they get drinking too much. And when you drink too much, I used to drink too much too. I would get loud. I would get obnoxious. I would tend to get vulgar. And that's not why I'm in Miamisburg. I'm in Miamisburg because it's a peaceful town. The economy's thriving, so much so that it's hard to find a place to park, but that's okay. I want to see businesses do good and make money, but not at the expense of if I have my grandkids down to get an ice cream cone one evening after watching a movie where they've got to hear the vulgarity and the loudness as people are walking from one place to another. And so if this would come up for a vote, I would vote no on it. If it did pass, and this is enacted into law, the next time I'm voting for my city councilman, I would have to vote no against him because he would be pushing something that I am strongly against, and many of my friends are strongly against. So I thank you for the chance to speak, and I hope I didn't embarrass myself too badly. Thank you.
Sure, the mic drops when I walk out. So, my name is Tom Krosky. Tom, you and I must have had the same speech teacher because she told me the same thing, get it over with. I would like to thank the mayor and council for this opportunity. I think it's a great forum. The fact, Katie, that it's not required, kudos to Miamisburg for doing this. As you know, I sent you all a petition that we developed. We have 69 signatures on that petition. 12 of those are business owners or building owners in the downtown area. And I would like to read that petition if I may. The undersigned hereby petition the city of Miamisburg and its representatives to reject the establishment of a Dora and to enact legislation to prohibit the creation of a Dora. Such a district should not be established for the following reasons. The city of Miamisburg downtown area is presently vital and thriving after many years of stagnation. This is due to many factors, including investment by retailers, restaurant owners, building owners, and many others who have undertaken to create a prosperous and safe commercial area in and around Main Street. Many individuals have taken substantial risks and committed their personal investment and fortunes into creating a thriving downtown. Their efforts and commitments could be seriously undermined by the creation of a Dora. Sufficient restaurants and taverns that serve alcohol already exist while not being the only source of economic activity. There are presently a dozen or so commercial outlets in Miamisburg downtown area where alcohol can be purchased for takeout or consumption on the premises. We think this level is quite sufficient for the geographic size of the downtown area. There is ample opportunity for anyone wanting alcoholic beverages. And after this meeting, I will probably go over to Ron's and have an aluminum Coors Light in a defined area in their facility. Sufficient restaurants exist, sufficient taverns exist. The establishment of a Dora may very well threaten the integrity of the downtown vitality, safety, and prosperity. I know everyone's touting that it will improve that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. I talked with Ryan Baker in Xenia, the development director over there this morning, and he said there are no statistics. There's no hard data to support that this really does generate economic activity. That may be the perception. It may even be the fact in certain places. But he says there's no hard data to do that, to establish that. We're concerned about the safety and prosperity of many people who have worked so hard to create and maintain a great downtown. You all have heard the story. Once upon a time, this town had somewhere between 32 and 26 bars or restaurants that served alcohol. We don't want to go back there. We don't want that kind of environment. Do we really need that kind of environment? We believe a Dora will further tax an already overburdened police department with impossible enforcement issues. Undoubtedly, there will be enforcement violations related to location and use of authorized alcohol containers. Why further burden our wonderful police department with enforcement and staffing issues? What will be the cost of that enforcement? In addition, there simply seems to be no compelling reason for creating an environment where people can drink alcoholic beverages on the streets, alleys, sidewalks, and parks in the downtown area. I don't know if y'all know, but Trinity Church is right at the edge of this. And Trinity Church has a park. Our maintenance guy has found drug needles in that park. And we fully believe at Trinity Church that there will be trash, who knows what else, vomit, could be anything. And we're concerned about that. And we think that's a difficult enforcement issue. And you can roll your eyes all you want, but we think that's a real possibility. We implore the city of Miamisburg to gather actual factual data supporting economic growth, especially when we already have great economic growth. Came through here Friday night on Main Street. Tried to find a parking place. Can't find a parking place. I talked to a business today and they said you can't find a parking place on a weeknight a lot of times. They have problems with their customers coming in to have their bikes serviced. How much more economic development can downtown Miamisburg need or sustain? We question the propriety of children and families coming to the downtown area and having to deal with intoxicated or discourteous people. I drink beer. I have a 7 and 7 on Friday nights. We are not against drinking per se. We're against drinking on the streets of Miamisburg. There's a big difference. We believe a Dora opens up many unknowns without a related, compelling interest to create a Dora. I'm wondering if the city will clean the streets and the parks every night, every day. This is every day. Every day this is going to be allowed with your proposal. I also raised the point, what's going to stop somebody from buying the Dora cup at Bullwinkle's, going to their car and filling it up when it's empty with the stuff they brought from home? Anybody thought of that? In summary, Dora is an idea that attempts to fix a problem that doesn't exist. Don't mess up a strong, vital downtown Miamisburg that we already have. It's awesome with what council, with the city administration, and what the individual entrepreneurs have done to make this what it is. This is a great town. We need to keep it that way. We don't need to do what everybody else is doing just because everybody else is doing it. So with that, I will present the petition signed by 69 people to the mayor. Thank you.
Doug, before you go on, any of you, if you are a little shy and if you represent a group and you all want to come together and share your message, you're welcome to come as a group too. But welcome, Doug Burrell.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
May I sit? I can't hold this because
Sure.
of
Just pull a chair
my
out.
palsy. Thank you.
Do you need help, Doug?
Excuse, no,
Okay.
excuse my back.
It's okay.
imagine how bad this will be when I get as old as Tom Dreishoff and Tom Krosky. I want to thank the mayor, the city staff, and the members of council for having this forum as well. The easy answer is sure, why not? In the 1960s, on both sides of Main Street, from Lee's famous chicken area to Linden Avenue, were no less than 27 bars, saloons, places to drink. Our downtown was a tough place. I was a teenager during this period. Our family Western shop was located on the corner of Main and West Central, where Ron's is now located. There were a handful of places to eat: Daisy's, Harvell's Smorgasbord, the Hamburger Wagon, Burger Chef, the Peerless Mill Inn, and over 5 times as many places to drink. In the middle 70s, I became active in our downtown, first with the Market Square District Association and then City Council. There was a conscious effort by myself, members of the business community, and city officials to change our image and rid the downtown of problem liquor establishments. When those licenses came up for renewal, City Council objected. I was one of those members of council, and I can't speak for my fellow members of council, but I was a target of multiple threats and vandalism. We were rooting out what we perceived as non-desirable elements, and this affected those folks' incomes. We wanted our community to be better, and it wasn't merely alcohol. We removed all the parking meters. We changed West Central Avenue to two-way traffic. I championed both of those issues. The city historical architectural ordinance was challenged in court and found unconstitutional. That legal process was underwritten by my family and Phil Howers on behalf of Daisy's Kitchen. Government doesn't always make the right decision. It has taken decades, issue by issue, step by step, for Miamisburg to become a regional destination, and the dedicated efforts of many, many citizens, many now deceased. In my mind, I am speaking this evening for those long ago friends of mine who no longer have a voice. Decades ago, our downtown was a retail destination. Jack Summers, Suppman's, Phil Howers, Sorrell's, Poff Jewelers, Star Cleaners, Star City Hardware, all magnets drawing customers to the Burgh. None exist today. Most small communities suffered identical fates, and their downtowns languish even today. Truth is, they would give their eye teeth to be like Miamisburg in 2021. We are vibrant, we are busy, we are successful. Miamisburg, over the last 15 years, has successfully transitioned from a retail to a dining destination. It took courage by the owners of Chumps, Ron's, Bullwinkle's, Bennett's, and others. All of these businesses have outdoor patios for patrons to dine and drink. Our wine shop has a large, fenced, successful patio for their clientele. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Currently, you find families in our downtown with their children and grandchildren, eating, visiting Three Dips, Grandpa Joe's, the Plaza, Dabble Art Studio, Spoonful, buying kids' bikes at Whitman's, will establishing a Dora give reason of pause to our downtown for families as a destination? It's hard enough raising kids today. Will seeing a city-sanctioned downtown drinking district send the wrong message to these young people? I don't have that answer, and I misplaced my crystal ball. If Miamisburg didn't have so much going for it in a very positive way, I'd be more in favor of creating a Dora as an attraction. But that's not the case, not today. Do we need visitors wandering our streets carrying alcohol to create success? We have success. In my career as a charity auctioneer, there's almost always alcohol. Committees think patrons consuming alcohol means more money. It doesn't. I helped Spring Valley Academy raise $1 million for their performance center. No alcohol, ever. My two glaring problems over 35 years of auction galas were both caused by too much alcohol consumed by upstanding citizens. Is creation of a Dora our next step forward or the first step backward? Thank you for the privilege of speaking.
Thank you, Doug. Hi, Molly.
Thank you, Deb. Hi, I am, can I stand?
Absolutely.
I am Molly Williams, and first of all, I am a lifelong resident of Miamisburg. I'm a graduate of here, and I love our town. I live on Linden Avenue. I'm very vested in how this community thrives and grows, how we raise our kids, and how we adhere to the rest of the world, because it means a lot to me, because I live here. I am also a business owner in downtown
Carl, I
Miamisburg.
think her mic is off.
Am I not close enough?
Oh, okay.
I am also a business owner in downtown Miamisburg. I own M & Company. It is a little retail shop. I am right beside Grandpa Joe's, and I just celebrated 4 years in business. And I do want to say, whew, it's really gotten heavy in this room. I don't know if I live in the same Miamisburg as you do and some of the other people do, because I'm down here on a daily basis. I don't see a lot of drunken disorderlies. I come down for dinner at night. I don't see a lot of people like vomiting in the street. I don't see a lot of people out of control, because I feel like we have very respectable, responsible businesses downtown. They take their liquor license and their service to the community very seriously. They don't serve the people who are out of control. They ask them to leave. They are respectful of our community. And I think that you have to give people responsibility and respect if you want to get it in return. I feel like we have a great community. We are thriving, but there's so much room to grow. When I'm downtown, I had a lady today say, "Why is there no place open?" And there are businesses that aren't open. We have building owners that have vacant buildings, that have places that need remodeled and places that need to be opened. And maybe if we have more interest and more foot traffic, those remodelings would happen. The money would be put into the buildings. The places would be opened. We are a great community. We have come a long, long way. And I'm so proud to be here and be part of that. But I don't happen to agree with the old Miamisburg vision that you guys maybe remember and came from. That, to me, is the outdated Miamisburg that we have tried and succeeded in leaving behind. And I think that having a beer on a sidewalk is not going to make me like in Peyton Place. I just think it's a lovely day, and if I want to put my name in at Chumps and then walk down to M & Company with a beer in my hand, I think that's great. I don't see a problem in that. I don't know. I think that Maybe I'm just over-optimistic in people, but I think that we have a very responsible, respectable community, and I think we should give them a chance because this program has all the stops and starts that we as a city can try it, and if it doesn't work out, then we don't do it. And we said, at least we tried. Just think if 20 years ago, nobody had stepped up and tried, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I do think that we need to keep our momentum going. We need to be a positive community, and we really need to work together respectfully with each other. So, thank you.
Thank you, Molly.
Hi, Brandy.
Hello. So I know a few people in this room, a handful, and I may be a little out of turn just because I'm newer to the community here. So I moved in around 6 years ago. I bought my house over on Central. So I wasn't born and raised here. I didn't grow up in Miamisburg. But I will say that the reason I moved here was because I fell in love with this community and everything that it offers. The fact that every year the Parks Department puts out a giant list of all the events and things that you can do downtown. When I went to go buy a house, I knew I wanted to live downtown, and I wanted to be here so that I could walk down to the park and I could do those things. And over the 6 years, I have grown to really become a part of this community, and I have friends who own businesses. I don't own anything myself, but I've worked at some of them. And I will say that this past year has definitely been a struggle for businesses. And yes, we are booming economically, Miamisburg as a whole is. But I think this is something that may help. And I think it'll help because people that know me think I'm a little bit of a hermit. I don't like to leave Miamisburg. Once I moved here, I was just kind of here. And last weekend, for the first time, I went downtown into the Oregon District, where they have a Dora currently. And I experienced it firsthand. And I walked into a brewery there, and I got a beer, and I got to walk out on the street, and I got to walk into all the little shops that they have. And it was delightful. And I used to hate going downtown because it was so busy and bustling and everything else, but it was really nice to be able to just patronize one business, walk into a couple more, and spend the afternoon on a beautiful day walking around downtown. And I realized that I've heard the stories a long time ago how there used to be so many bars and liquor establishments in the community that things got way out of control. And then it went the opposite direction, and we had all retail and not a lot of the other stuff. And I feel like from what I've been hearing, the lesson to me seems like maybe we need a little bit of mixture of both, and this seems like something that may help. We've got a lot of great restaurants and establishments to get drinks, so maybe this is something that will help bring in more retail, because I would love nothing more than to go to Chump's, grab a beer, and then go to M&Co. and be able to shop while I'm waiting on my table. I think that sounds like a great idea, and I don't think it's gonna make me, or any of my friends who wanna participate in that either, drunks that are falling over on the side of the street or anything. I think it'll help our community, not only economically, but I think it'll help it grow. And ever since I've moved here, we've been doing nothing but growing, and I think we don't want to stop that now because it's been doing such great things for this community. So I think we just need to keep going.
Thank you, Brandy. Hi, Jim.
Hi, I'm Jim Dunn. I'm one of the owners of TJ Chumps. And when I first heard about this Dora district, I went to Hamilton because they were interested in trying to get us to put a Chumps down in Hamilton. And they explained it all to me, and I thought, it's a pretty good idea. I don't think a Dora is going to directly benefit my business at Chumps. If you think about people going around and trying to get the best bargain for their drinks, it's not going to be Chumps. We don't serve the best drink. We don't serve the highest alcohol content. So we're not going to benefit directly from it, I don't believe. We will benefit indirectly from it because of the extra foot traffic that I believe the retail establishments will have. You talked about you're not sure whether we need improvement over what we have downtown, but I own shops on Main too, and there are retail establishments in there. It's hard to get a business in shops on Main, and they have a hard time surviving. The retail shops in Miamisburg are not doing that great. Restaurants are doing good, but retail is not. And I think this is one little thing that would help to drive more retail traffic that we need in Miamisburg. So I'm really for giving it a try. And the important thing that Katie mentioned in this was you can turn it off. Why can't we just give it a try? And if it doesn't work, turn it off. And also, Katie, I think it was Tom who's looking for data, hard data. Don't you have some hard data on improvement in retail? In these 60 districts in the state of Ohio, they have to have data on what increase they've had in retail. And the other side of that coin is what has happened to the criminal and the trash part of it. I'd like to know those statistics too.
Thanks, Jim. Hello there.
Hello. My name's Dave Thomas. I live in Sherwood Forest on Nottingham. And I can relate to what everybody said so far because I've lived here my whole life. My dad owned a bar. I remember all the bars down Main Street. I remember when it was a tough time. I remember going to Star City Hardware and all the other businesses, and it was great then, and I agree. I go along with bits and pieces of what everybody has said so far. But what I believe and what Jim just said, I think that it would be worth a try to do it, but I think the important factors are going to be what are the boundaries and what are the hours doing it. There's a lot of people that come down here, and this is a restaurant destination. They come in, they go walk in Chumps, they go in someplace, it's going to be 45 minutes before they can get a table. Well, the bar's packed together. You can't take a drink and walk out on the sidewalk. We have dancing in the streets. It's a big event when Taste of Wine and Chumps has dancing in the street. Can't take any alcohol right out in the middle of the street. It's little things like that. I think you have to really monitor it, but I believe it's worth giving a chance. And with all the laws you have now, with the DWI, and like somebody said about the responsible bar owners, people don't, I don't think Miamisburg is going to attract that kind of clientele that's going to make this a big bad deal. I believe it's worth a try with a lot of parameters. I doubt if I'd vote for it if you said 7 days a week and so many hours a day. Maybe you start out with a couple of events and take it that way. But I believe there's a way to come together. Like I say, I've heard this. I've lived here my whole life. There's a lot of things like Doug said stuff. I wish I could go back to the days when I was in high school and what this town was. But I believe that it will help. I mean, a couple of people said, you know, you get a drink, you can't get a table. You can walk a half block down the street, go in buy something that would not get sold if they was not allowed to do that. I think it would make a somewhat of a difference, and I believe that the old devil in the details. What you need to do is really sit down, and I'm curious, is this going to go up for a vote? Is this going to go on the ballot?
It will be, no, it will be voted on by City Council the 20th of April.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. I think some more details, and maybe another meeting like this, iron out some details, get some input from some people to say, okay, this is how we want to start it. And maybe have another meeting like this, I think would be a good idea. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Michelle. Hopefully this isn't over my head here. Wasn't planning on talking, but felt like I wanted to say something. I want to thank the city council, the mayor, everybody who works here in Miamisburg. When we were looking at putting a business here, we had looked at a lot of areas, Dayton area, Centerville, and when we spoke to the city development and the group there, they had a 5-year plan. They had a plan for how they were improving everything downtown Miamisburg. And they were very committed on how everything was organized, their inspections and everything. And talking to the other places that opened up breweries around the Dayton area, listening to all the headaches that they had developing their plans, getting their plans approved, getting anything done in the city was very difficult. And for us, it was a pleasure working with them. And I really want to thank you. I'm getting shorter by the minute here. But, and I know you folks are I think you all love the community, and you wouldn't want to do something that would be negative for it. That you're looking out for all of us, our interests in having better business, a better place to raise our kids. And you're very smart people, and I think you doing this data research and everything is real important to show that you are committed to it and you're not just throwing it out there and having the meeting today. So I want to thank you for doing that. I think it would be positive for the community, people being able to walk down to the park, enjoy a beer or something while they're out. As a bar restaurant owner, I know our bartenders, the scariest thing I tell them is don't ever overserve an individual. If you think you're getting close, stop them from drinking, because it's going to scare you to death if you have somebody walk out and you think that they're drunk. And they're going to do the same thing with a container. They're going to evaluate the person when they come into the establishment and try to, from their training, learn, is this person had too much to drink? And if they have, refuse to sell them. So they would do it just like they're going to sit in our establishment, or if they're going to take a drink out and walk down on the street. So that's really all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, my name is Dan Douglas. I am co-chair of Springfest in the Burgh, which is a 3-day festival that happens in May, although it's not happening this year due to restrictions for COVID. But I'm happy to be here today to talk in support of the Dora. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good draw for our city, and I think it will help benefit our shops and our breweries and our restaurants downtown. And I think innovation is really important when you're working, for a city. We have a really great city council, a really great mayor, great city manager, and great city employees. They're all really dedicated to seeing the city thrive and survive and grow and develop in new ways. And the Dora might just be the next step in Miamisburg's history. I know people are worried about Miamisburg having 100 bars or something downtown, but we don't have 100 liquor licenses downtown, and we don't have a city council that's going to put those liquor licenses on the ballots. I think that they're going to work to protect the city of Miamisburg, and I think that we have faith in our city council to make the right decision. And I'm excited to work with the city about the Dora for events downtown. I saw this case by case. We sell alcohol at our event, which we did get a lot of feedback against originally how we did our event. But we didn't have any issues with the alcohol. We had a modest sales of alcohol at our event. We had restricted parameters for people buying alcohol and when we sold it and how much we sold to each person. We were responsible, like the city will be responsible, like our restaurants will be responsible. So I think that this will be a great thing for the city of Miamisburg. I look forward to the city working on the Dora and working with the city to make it successful and to make Miamisburg successful. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dan.
Who's next? Terry?
Terry made it sound like it was a lot of work to get from there to there.
H. My name is Terry Brill. I'm one of the, I'm Jim's partner, and Mike and Blake's partner, and Valerie's partner. I want to thank the mayor and the council members for this meeting. I think it's important that we have it. Hear both sides. There's a lot of passion and emotion here. I get it. When we moved down to Miamisburg, when we started Chumps, wasn't doing very well. There wasn't a lot of business down here. And across the street where the wine store is, it was a dump. Remember that, Jim? It was a wreck. It was part of the blight, I believe, that was down here from the cleanup. And I want to thank Doug and his friends for all the courage they had to get rid of all the places they thought that were bad for Miamisburg. But I think things have changed. Jim and I and other people spent a lot of energy and a lot of resources to rebuild Miamisburg. And I don't think this is a bad idea. I'm like Jim, I don't think it's going to help us that much directly, but indirectly, I believe it will help us. And it'll help everybody else. So the fears are real, okay? But I believe Katie did a good job. Thank you, Katie. So I just want to say that let's give it a chance. Let's give it a chance. There's too many parameters. You have too many safeguards in place. It doesn't work. You know, you can stop it. But you got to give it a chance, I believe. That's my thoughts. The same as everybody else's thoughts that don't. You know, I get it. So I want to thank you for the time. Thank the council members for tough decision they got to make, but I know you can do it. So thanks.
Thanks, Terry.
Hello, my name is Justin Conan. I am the owner and operator of Star City Brewing Company and Peerless Mill Winery in the old Peerless Mill Inn. My business has been here 7.5 years. I've lived in Miamisburg all my life, so I'm happy to be a part of the city and wanted to name my brewery after the town because I love it here so much. I'm kind of with Jim and Terry on this one. I don't think it's really going to help Star City Brewing that much to have the Dora in place, but I will think it'll help the community as well. I like the restrictions set up. I like the time frames of stopping at 11. That way you don't have people like drunk at 2 o'clock with cups and stuff like that. I like how you can just turn it off if it doesn't work. I'm totally for it. I mean, right now I'm aware that there's no more liquor licenses available, and it's on us as the liquor establishments to not give out the cups after the time frame or overserve people. I'm willing to accept that responsibility because I want to be good to the city and I want to help everyone else out here. So thank you very much for letting me speak. I am for it. I want to give it at least a try, and if it doesn't work, I like that we have the off switch, and I hope it works out for us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Justin. Anyone else want to address council? Oh, please. Eric, make sure, I'm sure you don't know everyone in the room, but please introduce yourself.
No, I don't. And when the lady earlier said that she was the new person on the block, and that's actually me, literally. My name is Eric Yo, and I am the proud owner of the Sutton Building. And we are trying very hard to renovate it. I don't live in Miamisburg, although now I think I wish I would have all my life. I do think the Dora will economically benefit me. At the end of this year, I'm going to have 8 vacant apartments on the second and the third floor. And I think this will be an attractive incentive for young people to want to come downtown, live downtown, because then they can just grab a drink and go to the park, right? I think it'll help me lease up my first floor space. Although I don't live here, I am one of those people who someone mentioned who stopped their white collar career and bought an old building and invested my life savings and borrowed more money than I can afford from farmers and merchants to help me fix it up. And so I'm all in favor of this, and I'm all in with my investment in the Sutton Building, and I think that this will only improve the chances of leasing it up. And I love the idea that someone can go get a drink from one establishment and then go shopping in retail. Retail right now is struggling all over the country because of, not because of COVID, but because of the internet, right? So we've got to get people to come downtown and wander around, foot traffic in front of the retail stores. And that's the only way those retailers are going to increase. Because right now it's too easy for my wife to shop at 11 o'clock at night on the couch in front of the TV, right? And so we want to preserve that. We want to create that. And I don't think, my personal opinion is if an individual wants to get drunk, they're going to get drunk in the corner of a bar all by themselves and then go drive home. I don't think this is going to encourage people to get more drunk than they would have. So, I mean, that's my personal belief that I don't think there's a negative to this. There's only positives to it, in my opinion. So thank you very much, and
Thank you.
appreciate this open forum.
Welcome. Thank you.
please, come right on up.
Hi, my name is John Haddon, and I live on 5th Street. I've been here for about 5 years. I bought a house. I will say I love being in Miamisburg. I am definitely for this Dora program. I think overall, when I look at places that I go, when I travel, I try to find similar places to what this is in other states. I went to St. Louis, and I went to a place that was similar to what this setup was. You could drink. They had little places like a bowling alley and an ice cream shop. Those are the kind of things I buy. Most of my little stuff where I would go to other places is now mostly dead. I do my groceries, they come to my house. I don't have to go out a whole lot. My work transitioned to at home. The kind of places that I want to go to are somewhere like the donut shop downtown. I'll totally walk down there. I can walk down there. It's a 10-minute walk for me. I can go get donuts in the morning. If I had other things I could do after I went to Bullwinkle's, I would. It was nice. It's nice to go to Bullwinkle's. A lot of my friends, I can get them to go to Bullwinkle's, but then they go home. They don't have any drinks because they have to drive. They go to Oregon District or somewhere else similar. I could get them to come with me. A lot of people are worried about the traffic. I don't see that as much of an issue because a lot of people would pull up. Like, for example, in my example, they could come at my house. I have 2 extra spare beds in my house. They could stay there. We could have a nice drinking day out, come home, enjoy it. Instead, people are mostly having house parties right now. I mean, that's just a thing. Drinking doesn't necessarily get larger in groups. It actually usually gets smaller because there's people watching. If something gets out of hand, it's generally not always self-controlled, but controlled because it's seen. Someone who talked about like someone sitting in a dark corner at a bar, they're going to do that, but they're also going to be the outlier and someone that is, looked upon. The fact that they have restrictions, you can't just get a drink and take it and then get another drink. You have to watch that, and when they go in between places, they are now monitored. They look, okay, is this person actually, sober enough to have another drink? Do they look like they could barely walk in here? That's going to be a question that every liquor license already has to deal with. They have their own rules. I've seen a lot of posts about how liquor license is, different places have been fined from Ohio from random inspections. That's something that already happens. It's not going to increase necessarily because you would have more people visibly watching it. I'd also say it's nice. I've avoided a lot of indoor places because there's a lot of people around. The fact that I could drink outside in a pandemic and also invite a group of people that I know and trust and not worry about one of them like, well, I can't be around people inside. I'm worried about this. I work at a place where I don't want to get sick. All of that. That opens up that opportunity. I think overall that would do really well. So overall I'm for it. So
Great.
That's it.
Thank you, John. Hi.
Hi, I'm Lynn Drysharp, and I'm kind of the outsider. I'm not passionate to the point of being a homebody, that this city was where I grew up or anything like that. But I have questions that basically come to my mind because of this meeting. And they may be answered. I just kind of like to know. You say, you present this as a tool to help the community. And I wondered if there was other things that you've considered that have been on the table that we haven't had the option to consider. And then I also wondered if how this is an economic tool aren't we doing all right now? Like we've talked about, it's hard to find a parking place during evening or weekends. The parking is always going to be a problem. And so to bring in more people for the drinking aspect of that doesn't seem to be the wisest option. It would seem like you'd want it to be for the dining establishments and the retail. And then you say you're going to have signage and cups. Who is taking on the expenses for those kinds of things? Is it going to be on the taxpayers of this city? Or is it going to be the establishments that are going to integrate that into their costs? Has there been any consideration for like the additional policing of the area? For the cup issue, I still don't understand that, because if a person's got a cup from one establishment, and then they're going to throw those away, they get another cup at another establishment, that all that doesn't make sense to me. Plus, with the problem of plastics in our country, this seems to be providing more issue with plastic. And then you talk about the trash containers, and I've been around in different cities, and it seems like there's never enough trash receptacles. And then what about restrooms? Does everybody have a restroom for these people if they're going to come into your establishment? It's just, I just feel like, having come to this meeting, I still have numerous questions I'd like to have answered. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we could address, we can't address all of those questions today and provide answers for you, but in terms of the expense and the environmental concern with the cups, so obviously we haven't made any decisions, but as we're taking a look at this, we're looking obviously for biodegradable things. We're looking for things that are going to be environmentally friendly. The Merchants Association will be helping with the costs to offset that, so that will not be on the individual business owners or on the city for that. So the signage and the cups will be on the Merchants Association. Please.
My name's Dan Levis, and I'm a resident of Miamisburg. I've been here for 30 years. I remember when all the bars were going on, there was trouble. We know years ago, we had so much drugs and things going on. I back my police department. Cops know, I tell them, if you're in my neighborhood, I've got your back. We all are citizens. We all have to do that. I think we're opening up a can of worms here. If we look at history, we see what history does. Let's be wise about this. I'm against it. I've got kids, grandkids. I don't feel like fighting any young boys around the neighborhood. I'm too old to do that now. I know I've got people, friends around my neighborhood that got my back. I've got their back. I'm going out at 2 in the morning to try to chase drunks away, try to chase drug people away. And then finally the cops get there. But by the time, we've got 3 or 4 men around the neighborhood that are there. Not all neighborhoods are like that. I see trash. I pick the trash up around the neighborhood. I know a couple people, around that do that. What I'm trying to say is law-abiding citizens abide by the law. People that don't care about the law, they don't abide by the law. So the law-abiding citizens, I don't want to say vigilantes, but we have to live in this community. I think we're opening up a can of worms if we do this. and I, for one, am against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else? Anyone else want to address Miamisburg City Council? Please. Cinda.
My name's Cinda Gadd, and our family's lived here our whole lives. And I haven't decided whether I think yes or no, but I'm like Lynn. I don't understand the cup situation, so I don't really have a comment to make, but okay, as your example was, if you went into Bullwinkle's and you bought a drink and you had to wait and you want to walk down the street, you cannot take that cup into another establishment that sells those. So you can't go in another establishment unless they say it's okay. And so then, if you want to go into another establishment, you have to hurry and drink that up, throw that away so you can go in there and buy another one, and then make your way down the street. I mean, does every restaurant have the same cup? Or is Bullwinkle's cup red and Ron's is blue? And I just don't get how that works. I mean, what am I not getting?
Katie, I don't know if you want to field this, but it would be the same cup. Bullwinkle's may choose to take a Sharpie and put a B on it for Bullwinkle's. But you could walk from Bullwinkle's down the road and go to Molly's shop and go in if she has a sticker that says, "You're welcome here" with your drink.
Okay, but if she goes on down to Chomps, you can't take that cup in there. You have to go in there and you buy another cup.
Like you would buy a second drink. You would, that cup gets thrown away in the trash, and then you go in and get another if that's what you want.
Okay, so what, I don't know, maybe nobody would do this, but what keeps anybody from taking their cup home? Well, so the cup's only good for one use anyway, is basically what you're saying.
You could take it home, but you can't have it filled up.
Okay, so if I bring a cup from Bullwinkle's, I have to throw it away because if I go into Bennett's, I'm going to get a new cup, and I can't get that cup refilled by anybody.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cinda. Anybody else?
Okay. Katie, do you feel like we've missed anything, or I think we're good? If there are no more questions or comments, like I say, if you did fail to sign in at the back table, if you could, we would appreciate it, just to get a head count on who came. And we appreciate you all coming. I can say from the feeling in the room, there are going to be people who are happy. There are going to be people who maybe aren't happy with whatever decision is made. But I can tell you as the mayor, I am most proud of the transparency that the Miamisburg Merchants Association has shown, and city staff they have really dotted their I's and crossed their T's to make sure that we as a council and you as a group have the most recent and up-to-date information to make the best decision for this city. And the fact that you're all here taking time out of your Wednesday evening to address us, I'm thrilled that we're a community like that. So thank you all for coming. I will officially adjourn this meeting of City Council. Y'all be safe.
Thank you.